welcome in to this pre-New Year's edition of Tigers Talk with Chirco Company. I am your host, Vito Jerome Chirco, alongside my brother, mi hermano, Dom Chirco. Dom, what's going on today?
Not much. How's it going?
Good. John Macaroon. John, what's going on today? He's here. He's not with the mic because we have a guest in studio today joining us, Mr. Karic Jones, the one and only from UDM. A lot of UDM pride for Karic. And Karic's here. What's going on today, Karic?
Not much. Still getting over that loss to Eastern Michigan last night. Heartbreaking.
Did you know that I was there?
Yeah, I was supposed to be there, but I wasn't driving.
What
in the
happened? I
snow.
thought you would be there, Karic. You're the man that just loves
snow.
UDM. Oh, it was horrible. Trust me,
Yeah,
I didn't want to be there. It was a struggle getting there last night, but I made it out. I'm alive. I'm here today, so I am alive. So, anyways, I want to talk about some non-baseball related topics today. And we have a guest, Curtis Blackwell, who will be joining us from MSU to talk about the Cotton Bowl Classic, as it's called. And it really is a classic this year, with it being a New Year's Eve bowl, the college football playoff semifinal, MSU playing Bama. Huge game. And we'll see if they can pull that off. We'll talk to Curtis in a little bit. But first and foremost, the top 5 stories in Detroit sports from 2015. There's a lot that we can choose from. I had to choose 5 for a recent article for Detroit Athletic Company, for the blog, for that site. And I decided upon, for number 5, Mike Babcock deciding to leave the Wings for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I chose it as number 5 because it was a big news item, but the thing is, I think people saw it coming. He was going to choose free agency. He wasn't going to stay with the Wings. So I decided that was number 5 for me. And Karic, what do you think about that? That being number 5.
I think it was big for the hockey team, and Mike Babcock's probably the best coach in hockey. That could be argued, and for him to just leave like he did. But you're right, everybody knew he was going. Everyone knew he was going to Pittsburgh, Toronto, or staying in Detroit, and that's what he was going to do. And really, it was Toronto and Detroit the whole time. And wish him well in Toronto.
So let me count down now my list from 5 to 1. Number 4, JD Martinez's All-Star and Silver Slugger campaign. It was huge, but not extremely huge, but still worthy of that number 4 slot. Number 3, Martha Ford's firing of Tom Luan and Martin Mayhew. And then number 2, Dylan Larkin's emergence onto the scene. And then number 1, Dave Dombrowski being ousted by Mike Ilitch. That was so surprising. I was totally flabbergasted. And I was on Doc's podcast then to talk about the news when it happened during the summer. August 4th or 5th? August 4th it was for Dave D's dismissal. So that was number 1 for me. Now, after hearing that list now from 5 to 1 totally, Dominic, what do you think about it?
I would have to say Dombrowski would be my leader in the clubhouse there, number 1, and then I think that was good. Also, I think JD Martinez, the resurgence he had at the plate this year, was worthy of a number 4 spot. Obviously, I think you hit the spots in all of them. Martha Ford.
Oh, I hit the spots in all of them, Dom? Thank you very much. Are you saying that because you're my brother and it's almost New Year's, or you really think
No,
that?
I really think it, because what else are really going to put,
Well, there was other options. Unbelievable! That is unbelievable. Dominic totally agreeing with me right there. Now, Karic, I can't believe right now. If you agree with me, I will totally lose it because I don't think you will.
No, I think you should have probably talked about Michigan State in there.
See, I
know it was
I told you before the show, remember? Yeah.
But just the year they had in football and basketball and going to the Final Four, and I hate them, but they had one heck of a year. And I think they're the biggest story in themselves. It's just the Michigan State athletic resurgence the past year. I mean, they have the highest winning percentage in football right now, except for Florida State and Ohio State, and they both have championships in the last 2 years. So what's that tell you? I think Dylan Larkin's a big deal for the Red Wings, and I think more than people realize, just because he's a local kid. As long as I've been alive, I can't remember the Red Wings having a local kid that's been really good.
Well, then an American-born player that is that good, right?
That's the other thing,
At 19, he's a teenager technically right now.
There hasn't been an elite American-born player that played anywhere near his hometown. I mean, the last one that you could say was Jack Johnson's from Ann Arbor, and he kind of flamed out with the Blue Jackets. But there hasn't been a kid from Michigan, and Michigan's had such a strong hockey base for so long, multiple OHL teams. The closest thing to Michigan having a Michigan player was Brandon Saad, who played in Saginaw, but he's from Pittsburgh.
That's my cousin's name, by the way.
Is that,
it is legitimately Brandon Saad. Too? And he's in town. He's not my cousin. I wish he was. But he's still a good cousin. Brandon Saad, the one that I know and love. Anyways, Karic.
So Larkin is huge. And he really came out of nowhere, too. Had a really good year at Michigan. It was funny. I work for a DJ company, and I was telling my boss who works for the Red Wings, there's no way he's not going to get sent down. And every time he sees me now, he goes, he's still going to get sent down, isn't he? Joking with me. I think that was huge. And I think Dave Dombrowski leaving, I think some people saw the writing on the wall. Dave Dombrowski's a great general manager, but he likes to just use all his valuables to get players that may or may not help him.
That's him. He's Trader Dave, right?
Yeah, but he's not Jack McCluskey, like
Mm-hmm.
the old Pistons GM who actually got things in return and didn't deplete his farm system.
Well, there is no farm system too.
Well, that's
with basketball, so really he wasn't able to. Maybe he would have, if he had that.
Yeah, but Dave Dombrowski completely depleted the farm system. Left his last trade with the Tigers, he traded for a guy who they knew had thyroid cancer.
Yeah, but he's
still
young.
an elite prospect. But
they knew it wouldn't be a bad deal though for him. They knew he was healthy enough to still pitch.
Yeah,
at
he was
full,
healthy enough to
fully
still
efficient
pitch
level.
Still,
and going into next
me,
year, he's
raises a red
cancer free.
flag.
But he's cancer free going into next year,
It's great,
and
that's
the
he's going to
key.
be really good. But the whole thing doesn't seem right, and the fact that he goes and gets David Price like he did.
Did he hang out the Tigers
Yes,
to dry?
absolutely.
You think he did? In the moves that he made,
Cespedes, he did, because they could have re-signed. I mean, I think they're going to re-sign Cespedes as it is.
There's still hope now.
They're going to wait out the market.
Yep. We'll talk about that too today.
But I think Dombrowski did a lot of great things for the Tigers. I just think the last 2 or 3 years were not as satisfactory.
Did Dombrowski leave the Tigers out to dry with the moves that he made? Do you think he knew it was coming? I mean, he wasn't notified until that very day. I guess Alavila already was signed to a contract, which is horrible, and then Dombrowski was notified that, hey, you're getting fired. And wouldn't you think Avila would have maybe notified him? We never really brought up that topic.
He probably did.
But Illich made that call, and I guess he found out then and there on August 4th. Dominic?
Well, I think if you look at it, he got some value. He got some prospects to deal with. The last trade, the Cespedes trade, he got Fulmer out of that package, and he can be an integral part going forward for the Tigers in the rotation at some point, whether it's this year or starting next year. He could be dark horse candidate in the 1 through 2 spots, 3 spots, especially if you see what happens with Sanchez. So I don't think he completely left the Tigers out for dry.
I don't think so either. And now, you know what? Dealing Cespedes, he knew in the back of his head he might get him back to in free agency before he got fired, and now the GM is Avila. How about Avila getting Cespedes to sign? If the price comes down, right?
Well, the price is probably going to come down now. I mean, it's after the winter meetings. The market really hasn't done anything in the last few days. I think they probably will go get Cespedes, and I think they'll probably go get maybe 1 or 2 utility type pitchers that aren't very good, but high reward, minimal risk type guys. But the Tigers are going to have to make 1 or 2 more moves with adding Cespedes if they want to be competitive in their division.
Well, we've talked about it, Doc and I, on the podcast. Dom, you brought it up too. In center field, they still have Anthony Ghost, who we don't like, either of us. You hate him.
And they're still platooning out there, and they're going to be platooning in left field with Collins.
Until they get a guy like Cespedes. Will that happen? We've talked about it kind of. I think the price has to come down drastically for them to sign him because he's going to be way too overpriced. Now, maybe he's not as much. The market's coming down as you notified, or you noted, Karic. Dom, what do you think about it?
I think the price will come down, but I think right now they're still going to be asking for more money because you got to look at Hayward's contract. He's going to make $21 million annually. I don't expect that to go down. I expect somewhere around that vicinity, whether it be around 15 to 18 million per season for a guy like Cespedes, even a guy like Gordon. I don't expect it to go down unless we get into February and March.
Maybe a Prince Fielder-esque signing,
yeah,
and for less money. It won't be that big of a contract if the Tigers do sign Cespedes at that point in the
he's already
offseason.
30.
Because at that point, spring training's going to start. Pitchers, catchers report, and then the rest of the team report. So the urgency for the player to sign is going to be swift because if they want to play the upcoming season, they might have to take a discount at that point. I expect some action here between now and the end of January at the latest.
Alex Gordon or Cespedes? Who would you rather have, and then why? Karic, first with you.
For the Tigers, if I'm building my own team.
Okay, your own team. If you're
Alex
the GM,
Gordon.
if you're Alavila, Gordon. Okay.
But I think they're going to go get Cespedes because they like power, and and Mr. I wants his baseball Red Wings to win, and he
wants that power. He wants that.
They're not going to be thinking with their heads here. They're going to be thinking with what's going to put butts in the seats, and
he wants that sexy player.
Alex
the
Gordon,
chicks dig the long ball, and Alex Gordon doesn't hit the long ball.
No, but he's probably more efficient and probably a better baseball player overall.
Well, he's better in terms of wins above replacement, Dom, as you know. He's better defensively. Cespedes is good, won the Gold Glove and left for the Tigers, playing that half season there. But I think I like Gordon myself because of the defensive prowess. That factor really adds up to me to why I agree with Karic for Gordon.
Yeah, defensively, I would say Gordon's edges him out a little bit. Defensive war. You got to remember, Cespedes has won a Gold Glove. He has a great arm in left field. He probably is going to have a better OPS because his slugging will be better. And you look at the only thing that you like out of Gordon is his strikeout percentages are lower than Cespedes. He doesn't really. He's a professional hitter in regards to he has good plate coverage and a very good eye. Something that if you need a left-handed bat, which the Tigers presumably don't need a left-handed bat, he would be a better fit than Cespedes at this point.
Well, if OBP gets you going, right, it's Alex Gordon. It's not Yoenis Cespedes. He's that swing and miss guy, but he's a big power guy. He's that highlight reel guy, but more money, I think, too, because Gordon's older. He's been injured more often. I think Gordon will get the less value for a contract, and that's why I think he's worth it for the Tigers more if they're trying to
if they were
restrain
smart,
a little bit, too, with their budget.
If they really want to win, you go get them both.
They don't need both, though.
No, you don't need
Cespedes
both.
could play center, so technically they could sign both, but I don't want him playing center field.
He's got the arm.
I'll say this, too. You know what? One could be a DH, but they don't want to use either of them as a DH with the contract that they have to pay them. And it's not worth it. They're too good for a DH spot, you know? Dom, I mean, if that were to happen, it's slim to none. It's not going to happen. We'll say that right now here. It's not going to happen. It's a dream scenario. But if it did, how good would the Tigers be? I mean, would it be worth their while, first and foremost, to even do that? If they had no budget limit, no limit on what they can spend.
I absolutely would be worth their while, but that's a pipe dream, and
big time pipe dream.
If it wasn't for the Illich children, I can tell you right now that they would be spending all the money in the world. They would have an unlimited
Well, they're still
budget.
not the Yankees. They're not the Dodgers. They can spend a lot of money. Mr. I loves
He
it.
has
Can
just
spend
as
the
much money. It's the people around him don't want him to spend the money because he might be only around 3-4 more years. I'm not trying to be grim, but you know what? If I was the Illich kids and, maybe I don't want to keep the team, I wouldn't want to spend all that money right now either.
Do you think Chris I, his son, ends up selling the team down? What
Absolutely.
do you think? Karic, I know you've talked about it with me before. You think absolutely. Dominic?
Yeah, we see emergence of Dan Gilbert in the Detroit community. I could see
You're a man from the Cavs.
Yep.
Would you like that, though, if he bought the Tigers and then had to spend some money on them as well and, share some money, spread some wealth to your Cavs at the same time?
He's got the money. He's got the assets. I wouldn't be worried about it too much. I'd be worried, especially because LeBron's not going to be there forever. So, and if you look at it that way, you've got to be a little leery of that because if his loyalties are set, then there's no reason to worry. But obviously, it's a little apprehensive for a fan to think, if he comes here, he owns the Tigers, and the Tigers fan base
wants him to spend,
and
then
win.
I think he will, but it might not be the case. Is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Karic, what do you think?
This is just a crazy scenario. But what if Dan Gilbert bought the Lions and the Tigers? He owns that part of town. Let the Illiches own Midtown.
Interesting. The Illiches would like that. I mean, they're definitely not going to sell the Red Wings at this point.
No.
And the Lions need to be sold, but will the Ford family even pull the trigger on
Yes.
that? I don't see it happening. Big money that Gilbert has, but the Fords have big money and probably more money than Gilbert as well. Maybe not as much more money as maybe they did at one point, but they still probably own a little bit more
new
assets.
money versus old money. It's an old debate.
Really not worth the debate. But Gilbert would be a worthwhile owner for the Lions and the Tigers, and I could see him buying the Tigers one day. And with that, we'll take a quick commercial break here on Tigers Talk with Chirco Company. And when I come back, Curtis Blackwell from MSU will be on the show. Looking for team apparel for your high school, your club sports team, or corporation? Look no further than Top Cat Sales, located on the east side of Main Street in downtown Royal Oak, between 11 and 12 Mile. Through founder and former University of Michigan quarterback John Wangler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel with the highest quality and the best service. Get your organization, school, or club team all in with Adidas today by going to TopCatTeamSales.com. Once again, that is TopCatTeamSales.com. Also follow Top Cat on Twitter at Team Top Cat. And now, joining me on Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company, latest episode is Curtis Blackwell from MSU. He's in his third season as Director of College Advancement and Performance for MSU football. Curtis, what's going on today?
Glad to be down here in Dallas and enjoying this opportunity to play in a big game against Alabama. So it's a great opportunity for the program and the whole state of Michigan.
It is, and it's a mighty big game, as you said, Curtis. And with all that being said, first and foremost, what does your job as the Director of College Advancement and Performance exactly entail?
My biggest thing, Vito, is helping the Michigan State football coaches recruit better, and so within that, I use the relationships I have from over the years to allow the coaches to be able to assemble top prospects in the country recruiting-wise. And then once the recruits get on campus, college advancement kicks in, and I am the go-to guy for all the freshmen once they arrive. And so I end up being the individual that they call sort of like the uncle figure who kind of helps them navigate the channels of transitioning from high school to college. So I'm basically responsible as a recruiting coordinator here of helping guys get to and through Michigan State. So getting them to recruiting and then through the development and graduation and NFL process.
And is that the way in which you coach up these guys themselves without really being that coach on the football field? Is that the way that you do play the part of a coach at MSU?
Yes, exactly. Helping the coach them off the field.
And now, speaking of coaching, Curtis, what is it like to learn from one of the best to be doing it currently, and the much accomplished MSU head man, Mark Dantonio?
It's truly a benefit for me to learn from an individual who is, I would say, he's a role model, mentor, and probably one of the most influential men I've ever been around. And I've learned so much in the 3 years that I've been here. And I'm going to learn so much more in terms of just how he is consistent in his approach, how he's diligent and detail-oriented, and how he's available. He encourages all to be a light to the whole community. He really encourages us to be givers and not takers. And it's all about taking what you have and making someone else's life better. And that chemistry that he's created here is what you see on the field every week. And since I've been here, due to the way this program has been structured, I've only lost 4 games in 3 years, and that's almost unheard of. So Coach Dantonio has truly been a blessing to me, and not only just me, my whole family.
So Coach, is so accomplished, so well respected by all his peers, and has won a Rose Bowl. He's won a ton of games, as you said, but he keeps getting misidentified for other guys, for his brother, for Mike D'Antoni, former head coach of the Suns, Lakers, and Knicks. Why does that keep happening, Curtis?
You know what? I don't know. We don't really buy into all of that. We don't pay too much attention to all of that. We are, focused on what we do. I think sometimes people lose sight of, Coach is not a me guy. He's all about the program. And maybe that's just because Coach Antonio is not a self-promoter, and he doesn't really care too much about that. I mean, it's definitely not a good thing when it occurs, but, Coach Antonio focuses on making sure that the program is going where it needs to be, and that's what's most important. And so he doesn't get caught up in all of that hype, because I know for a fact that it could distract you and it could take you off your course.
Is it a sign of disrespect, though, to Dantonio? Does he take it in that regard, and does it then serve as an extra source of motivation for the players and the team as a whole?
I think one of the biggest things that we take from Vito is this is where we are, and people still don't know who we are. So our goal is to make sure that we do everything that we can to let people know who we are. And so we're like, hey, we'll keep winning, we'll keep kicking butt so that people can know who we are. That's what I thought that really matters.
Now, let's talk about the quarterback for MSU. For whatever reason, and there may be some reason, he received some backlash for his post-game exchange with Ohio State Buckeyes legend Archie Griffin at the Big Ten Championship game, specifically during the point when Griffin presented Cook with the game's MVP trophy. Now, when that happened, did you and the rest of the MSU staff think it'd be such a big issue? And do you think that moment unfairly received too much attention?
People blew that out of proportion. Connor was not trying to slight anybody. He was definitely just going about his business and trying to just, celebrate the moment. He was not trying to slight Archie or anyone like that.
Speaking of Connor, he's had that injured right shoulder now that he's been playing through. A lot of pain with that. So going into this big matchup on New Year's Eve, the college football playoff semifinal and the Cotton Bowl Classic, will he be fully healthy for that?
Yeah, he's still as good as he's felt since he got hit and injured, So the rest has definitely benefited him. 3 weeks off, and he hasn't really overworked it in practice, so he should be good to go. And it's going to be, we definitely going to have to keep him protected. We went up against a great Alabama defense, and they're going to be coming after Connor. So but he has as good as a chance to really play big in a big game as possible, because he's had a lot of time to rest.
How have you guys now prepared for Nick Saban, the former MSU head man, and his current team, Alabama?
We'll prepare the same way we prepare for any other game. We always take the time to be thorough with our approach in terms of breaking down film, and we practice physical, and it's a physical type of game, so we'll continue to do that. That's our style of play. And, we've been to big games. We played Ohio State, Oregon, Stanford, Notre Dame. So we've accustomed to being in the big games, and this is not something that's unfamiliar to our team. Our senior class has won 6 or 7 of the last 8 top 10 matchups they played in. So we'll be ready to go because we'll do what we've been doing in the past that has gotten us ready.
So now what has to happen for Sparty to win it against Bama on Thursday night?
Well, we'll continue to do what we've been doing. That's run the ball, stop the run, and minimize turnovers and win the field position game. And, try to get as many opportunities as we can down the field with the passing attack. But the biggest thing is going to be up front. The team that plays the best up front is going to win the game. And that's going to be their defensive line and front seven, which is the best we've seen all year, versus our offensive line. And then our defensive line being able to stop the Heisman Trophy winner. So it's going to be a big challenge, but up front is going to be determining who wins the ball game.
Curtis, with that, thank you very much for all your time today on Chirco and Company.
Oh, no problem, man. Thanks
all right,
a lot.
Man. Thank you.
All
You
right.
have a good one. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Thank you once again to the big man, Curtis Blackwell from MSU. Good stuff from him, as always. Always kind to me. And I like kind men and women. Karic, that is true. Did you know that about me?
I did.
I like kind people.
I was
And,
aware.
Yeah, I know. It's weird how I said it, but I wanted it to be weird a little bit for you. Because I
Okay.
know you're a weird individual at times. I'm willing to
little
go
bit.
there. I
Sure.
think you
You're
admit
a
that.
dick.
Yeah, was I being that? Maybe I was there a little bit. But
You're a
Karic has
little
been
bit.
that to me. Trust me. Time and time again. But then he's a good friend, too, like today coming in. And we're having a good time so far. The pre-New Year's edition of Tigers Talk with Chirco and Co. And Karic, you have a great segment lined up for us today. It's an
I
original
do.
Chirco and Company segment called The Random Five, and it's always very random.
It's very random. I just came up with it.
So you did. Well, good.
Yeah,
I'm
well-
glad that you're prepared because we talked about this like a week, 2 weeks ago.
Well, I've been thinking of some things. So with our first random, let's talk about Kelly Stafford.
Okay.
Trophy wife, real toothy.
Okay.
What the correct
Way to
language
put
for
it,
someone
yeah.
with big teeth is. Tried to sell her tickets to the game, the Monday Night Football game on StubHub. Let's talk about that and you guys' thoughts on Kelly Stafford.
Trying to sell those tickets, it's almost like, why go that far when you can just give them to a family member, right? Maybe another member of the Staffords. And then why go on StubHub? If you're going to do it, sell it behind the scenes. You've got all this money. I just didn't get why she went to StubHub. I didn't like it myself, but at the end of the day, is it really that big of a deal that she did it? It's really not that big of a deal.
Well, it looks bad.
It does, but it's bad, but
She
is it
don't need- she
horrible?
doesn't need to sell
Bad
those
and horrible
tickets.
are different things.
She does not need to sell
She didn't
those
have to sell
tickets.
those tickets. She should have given them
Yeah,
to
she has
somebody
enough-
else, a friend, a family member of the
Give 'em-
Stafford
give 'em
family.
to sick kids.
Or donate them to charity. Okay, there you go. I can see that. And that's maybe where she was in the wrong. She could have given them to somebody like that. Or like I said, to a family member or a good friend.
Yeah, she
Dom?
didn't need to do what she did. That's wrong, and making the money that the Staffords have made, playing football, and that's just an insult to all the poor people, and people that can't afford any of that.
Is it really an insult that she went to StubHub? I mean, nobody would say this if it was anybody else. If it was you, Dominic, or I,
well,
it wouldn't
yeah,
be said. I
because
get it.
she's
She's a
rich.
celebrity figure or has a celebrity husband. So she has a ton of money. But she's a normal person,
I
too. At the
feel
end of the
like
day,
there's
can't you go to StubHub and sell some
There's an
tickets?
aftermarket place for husbands, wives, girlfriends, mistresses, mothers to sell their tickets for NFL games.
You're saying they shouldn't be in the news for selling tickets on StubHub.
Well, they
Do it
should-
behind the scenes and give it
Yeah.
to charity or somebody else.
Yeah, you didn't need to. I can understand if it's somebody who's making the league minimums.
Yeah, I mean, not a
significant
filthy
other.
rich individual.
But her husband makes a lot of money. He makes so much money that the Lions aren't going to be able to sign players they need
They're
because he makes so much money.
Filthy rich.
Yeah, it's a stupid amount of money.
Okay, what's next? Topic number 2, Karic. Hit it, baby.
Do you guys think Calvin Johnson should get a free pass to leave Detroit because he's in a losing hell?
In a losing environment after so long, in his 9th year, going into year number 10 as a pro next year, I say yes. Definitely. Why not? Why would you want to stay in that losing situation? Barry Sanders had to retire to get out of there. Couldn't get out of Motown any other way. Kelvin Johnson, we don't want to see him retire. He's still good,
The
still
Detroit
valuable.
Lions ruining careers since
Left and right.
1950 something.
1957 is the last time they won a championship, the NFL championship. Never been to a Super Bowl. And they're never going to get to one in the immediate future. So, Kelvin, go somewhere else. Lions should trade him or cut him. Do him a solid. So, cutting him would be that. Definitely doing him that solid so he can choose wherever. But I think still try to trade him at least at first. Because really cutting him, but then you're still, on the books for all that money. It's still a good amount or good portion of money that's guaranteed. And if they keep him, it's a cap hit of $24 million. Remember that. So if they do keep him, that is a big, significant thing to take into account with that salary that will be affecting the Lions there.
Well, yeah,
Dominic?
the guaranteed money I don't think is as big of a deal as you're going to make it out to be. But
it's restricting what the Lions can do, right? If they cut him or traded him, they'd be more apt at getting better players to surround the team, right? All around the team, rather than just one huge name like Kelvin, who's towards the end now of his career. Still,
but
he's not the Megatron realistically anymore.
Well, what you could do is draft quality wide receiver in the draft. You could stock up there. You can stock up anywhere else to get quality players.
So you're saying keep Kelvin and just stock up around
in the
him.
NFL, a lot of these teams are built through the good teams are built through the draft. And if Kelvin wants to go, they should not even worry about Kelvin being a part of the team going forward because he's gone through the misery. And
so what are you leaning towards right now? What is your decision, by the way? You want to cut him or trade him or keep him?
Well, what I would do is trade him, see what he gets, see if there's any offers out there, and.
Would you consider cutting him, though? Because I have a hard time of doing that to a legendary receiver, broke the single-season record for reception yards in a season in 2012, all-time Lions leader, okay, in reception touchdowns and receptions overall, more than everybody else in the Lions franchise history, and you're just going to cut him? I know the Colts did it with Peyton Manning, and that really opened my eyes up to, well, maybe there is a reason for doing this. But for the Lions, they're not in a good situation. They need those assets, future assets that can be gained via the draft, and that's why you trade them for draft picks. Karic, you have something to say, though, I think, too.
Well, maybe they cut Peyton Manning because he was using human growth hormone.
He was juicing up a little bit.
Or...
The deer antler spray like Ray Lewis, as we talked about a long time ago on the original Chirco & Co. We did. And that was funny news. This is funny news now regarding Peyton. This legendary QB, his legacy. Is it tarnished now if this is true about him?
Antler spray?
It's not deer antler spray. It's HGH that supposedly was used for his wife, for Ashley Manning.
I mean,
right?
The guy who said it came out and said he lied.
He recanted it, but is that because he faced a lot of pressure from Peyton Manning and his lawyers or the NFL, period? Because Peyton Manning's a legend. A future...
Yeah, but even for saying that, he's getting hush money. Absolutely not. You wouldn't just...
So you wouldn't recant your story? You would suck it up or man up and stick with the story?
Not that quick.
If you had all that pressure.
They would have to give me a lot more money.
To hush you up. To hush up Karic is going to take a lot of money.
He's going to be the laughing.
I'm talking like millions of dollars. But I bet they paid him that or were willing to get him to shut up if he wasn't willing himself to. Dom?
Yeah, if you looked at the video, he looked very timid. He was very reluctant to talk, to speak about it. He was really nervous because he doesn't want the bad name, the bad image that he's going to get because he's going to be a laughing stock, especially if they find out that he's been wrong, it's been a farce all along. It doesn't look good for him.
Think about it, though. Everybody cheats now. Bill Belichick. It's Bill Belichick. In New England, Tom Brady is cheated to some degree.
Well, how long have I said that everyone cheats? I've always said
you've said that
cheats.
before. You did. The best of the best do. So you know what? Maybe the Lions should start doing it because they're not the best of the best. They're at the bottom of the totem pole. How about Stafford start cheating?
Yeah, get him some human growth hormone.
HGH baby, because he's already got a can.
He's got Stafford.
Yeah, there we go to make it look good. But anyways, if the Lions did it, they probably would still mess it up some way, right? What's topic number 3 though of the random 5, Karic?
Who would you rather be alone in a room with, Jim Harbaugh or Mark Dantonio?
Well, I've been in a room, not alone, but in a room with Jim Harbaugh. He's not that bad of a figure. Dantonio, I don't think would even talk.
Yeah, he would scare me.
He would scare me. And you know what? Jim Harbaugh can be intimidating, but I think Dantonio's more intimidating. And that's hard to do, right? To be more than Jim Harbaugh.
Those death stares.
Yeah, I mean, he just does that. He has that impact on you, man. When you look at him, you get that feeling that you're not welcomed by Mark Dantonio. What do you think, though, Karic? Since you asked it.
Well, I would go with Jim Harbaugh. I would bring some milk, some whole milk, some steak, and I whatever his bathroom reading is. So probably a catalog of some sort.
So you would do whatever it takes to satisfy Jim Harbaugh,
Absolutely.
and it's every single need.
I would make sure to talk to Jim Harbaugh like you would talk to someone you were counseling, as we don't know what exactly Jim Harbaugh's issue is. There's something there.
Yeah, he's off a little bit.
He's off.
But he's a good off. I mean, look at what he's done, right? It's worked out for him. Big time.
Don't give him your phone number because he'll call you until you commit or agree to date him.
He's a legendary quote machine, Dom. And that's another reason why you would want to be in the same room.
Nobody.
Jim Harbaugh.
Right.
How many other quotes has he said? And so memorable, already kind of legendary. They're not going to build him a statue yet. Dantonio, by the way, they should build him a statue.
should.
Him and Izzo deserve statues.
They do.
Dom, what's your take, though, on this matter? Dantonio or Harbaugh? To be in a room alone with?
Yeah. Well, like piggyback what you said. Dantonio would scare me with the death stares. He just doesn't really seem. He kind of looks reproachable.
Yeah, I think he's not the best to go and to face, especially when you get in trouble. If you're a player getting in trouble,
yeah, you don't
know
want
what,
to get in
Harbaugh would
trouble
be all over you too. You know that, and really, a lot of coaches would
Harbaugh
be.
might
The normal
actually
coach would be.
hurt you. I don't know if Mark Dantonio
He wouldn't
hurt you.
He probably couldn't as much, but Harbaugh, yeah, physically could do it too.
Like Harbaugh would be the guy you play like video games with. He would be fine
because
with
there's
it.
something there where you can still, I think, Yeah, Doc's a big MSU fan, remember. He's a Dantonio lover. And Izzo, I know that too. And they're legendary figures.
Well, you can't really compare the two at their wealth for their different sports because Tom Izzo's been
He's done
for
more.
30 years.
But in his own right, Dantonio's now done a lot. He's an accomplished head coach.
At one program.
But it's for all the right stuff. For all the right reasons, right? As is Harbaugh, though. It's a topic people can debate. I mean, it makes you think, obviously.
Wait,
Harbaugh or Dantonio, because both are really good head coaches.
Who did you say MSU should put a statue out for?
I was saying Dantonio and Tom Izzo. Now, that's debatable. Dantonio hasn't done as much, but Izzo definitely.
Yeah, Izzo definitely.
That's a little bit
Tom
sarcasm,
Izzo,
too, by the way.
They should name the arena after Tom Izzo.
And Harbaugh needs a lot more time there in U of M. But I know, Karic, you love Jim Harbaugh, and you think he's going to achieve a ton of stuff there at U of M.
He's never not achieved anything anywhere. It's not, Michigan State fans and people who just don't like Michigan get on you, but at the same, he's never not done well. He doesn't do bad. Like he took a bad team, a really bad team, and still won.
Won 9 games.
Yeah, 9 games.
Right? After winning 5 under Hoke last year, who was a joke, right? He was a recruiter, a good buddy, good pal to have. Jim Harbaugh, as you said, Dom, can be that kind of, though. That's the key with him. That's why I think he's so successful with these college kids.
San Diego.
Where in the NFL, you can't really be that. You wear out your welcome after a while. Now he can, I guess you can more easily do that and be that. And that's why I think he has more success at U of M and at the college level.
Like what he did at San Diego and
always uplifting programs that weren't football programs. Now he's at a football program. That's why people think sky's the limit for him at U of M.
Well, that's the difference between Michigan and MSU is just the money and everything they're going to put into the program. I wouldn't say that I think Mark Dantonio is just as good of a football coach as Jim Harbaugh is. But Jim Harbaugh's got the media involved. He's got the personality. People are still talking about Michigan right now, and they're in a bowl game that doesn't
matter. The Gator Bowl means nothing. That's why we didn't have a guest on to talk about it today. Yeah.
But the media is still giving them each the same amount of attention, and Michigan State's in the playoff.
Yep.
What does that say? It's
U
all
of
about
M,
the
it's
brand.
about the allocation of resources, right?
It's
the money, the
the
brand. U of M has that brand.
It has nothing to do with who's better at football. It's about the brand and the money, and money talks.
Money talks. Money sells. And you know what? U of M is a prestigious institution. You are too, as a person, Karic. What's topic number 2 of the Random 5?
Number 4.
Well, excuse me. I know we have 2 more to go. That's what I meant, sir. If you disrespect me like that again on my podcast, I swear I will kick you out of here. Now go on. Topic number 4.
You're a dick.
Thank you. I've been getting that quite often here. And the holiday spirit, I guess, of being a dick. Karic.
You have to eat only one mascot.
Oh my God, eating a mascot.
From the Horizon League for the next week. Pick one. You got penguins.
Yeah, name me all of them because
you got
I have
a raider. I
trouble
think that's a person, even though they have a dog.
Yeah.
You got a penguin. You got Vikings. That's a person too.
That's a person, definitely.
Titans, also a person.
Yep.
You have Grizzly. That would be my choice.
I like.
Grizzly.
You know what? You just named my choice.
Yeah,
too,
rivalry.
man.
I got to go with the Grizzly.
I know you. Why you want to eat?
I would grill
the grizzly bear.
And
you want to grill the
grilling
Grizzlies.
The January 15th self promo here. Big UDM bonfire. Tons of free food, free shirts. Get ready for the 16th at 3 p.m.
Look at you promoting.
I am.
What you're doing there at UDM. He's still a student, by the way. Karic Jones is at UDM. Does a lot of good. Well, normally does a lot of good. And you know what? You support UDM, and that's why, really, you're a huge Oakland University hater.
Yeah.
You do not want to see the Golden Grizzlies succeed at all. And that's why you choose that mascot, right?
It's more edible, too.
Well, as an animal, you can actually eat the animal and
penguins
be all
are
right.
probably the most edible.
Is it more? Are we really debating what's more edible right now, the penguin or the golden grizzly?
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable with the grizzly.
Yeah,
there's more meat on those bones, baby. Right?
I like my meat.
That's a grizzly. That's a manly bear, the grizzly bear, and that's why OU has more success in Detroit. No, the Titans are legit warriors too. But I wouldn't want to eat a person. I wouldn't want to be a cannibal here. So I'm going to eat the grizzly bear over the Titans.
That'd be betrayal.
And UDM's my alma mater. It's betrayal. Yeah, my part.
Yeah.
I was there, did my show, wrote for the newspaper, went to school 4 years. I couldn't do that to my Titans, Karic.
Well, that's good. And
because you support that too, don't you?
I do. I support UDM basketball in its entirety.
So no cannibalism from the 3 of us here today on Tigers Talk with Chirco and Co.
Titans Talk. What?
No, Tigers.
Tigers Talk.
Tigers, not Titans. Remember, this is Tigers Talk here. Moving on. The almighty last topic of the Random 5, but the best for last, right, that you saved here. I hope
I
it
did.
is.
What odd, or not, it doesn't even have to be odd, what authentic Detroit food or drink would you like to see in the new Red Wings arena?
The Lafayette Coney Island hot dog. How about that?
Okay.
That's authentic enough, right?
Absolutely.
Dom?
I'm trying to think authentic.
Think a little bit. Do some deep thinking here, Dom. You're a political science major. I'm only a communications major.
Oh,
Or
he changes me.
I like.
He did. Did you know that about
No,
Tom?
I didn't.
Not to change the topic.
Is Slows barbecue?
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Slows. You know who had slows last night? John, right here,
Really?
our producer,
Wow.
the doc. Yes, he had some slows at Ford Field for the Quick Lane
Okay.
Bowl.
The Quick Lane Bowl. Who
Yeah.
won that? Did Central win?
No, Minnesota won.
Oh,
And a close game, though.
unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I
But what would you choose? By the way? You like your slows barbecue, don't
I
you?
do. You know, I feel like I'd go with some authentic Mexican town tacos from Lupita's.
Lupitas. Now, is that the right way of saying it?
Yeah,
I don't think
Lupitas.
that's the authentic Mexicano
No, I
way of
can't
saying
say
it.
the full name. of the restaurant.
Lupitas.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, Tangeray or something.
And there's something else, yeah. And the
You've
name's
been there
wrong.
with me before, and
You took me once as a nice friend, yeah, when you were being nice.
where did,
Go on.
or I would say authentic gyros from Greektown. I think one of the two of them.
That's
would be good.
authentic in Greektown. That's
Yeah.
authentic Greek dining and cuisine. And I like the Middle Eastern cuisine that you can get. That's not authentically Detroit or Michigan, but good food. Just bringing up
That's true.
authentic
Like what?
food that's really good. Like
You
Lesage,
like Lesage?
that's really good. Middle Eastern cuisine, love it. And my uncle, our uncle Paul Sadis, a shout out to him. And Doc is too. He's Lebanese. Love the
How about
Lebanese
it?
people and the food. Carrick?
Not a big fan of their.
Oh my
Not a
gosh,
big
what a
fan of
diss to the
shawarma
producer.
either.
Chicken shawarma is really good, man.
I don't like the pickles or the celery.
There we go. Deservedly so. Get in the boo. You know what? Carrick's been booed before, and you've been ridiculed, attacked on Twitter by fans, by people. Not for that, but there's always been something, it seems like, Carrick. And you know what? How have you, really quick, not to get off topic totally, but you're here today. I want to ask you, how have you dealt with all that in the past?
I don't care.
From people, from OU especially.
I don't care. I don't have time for it. I'm concerned about my job, what I need to do in regards to what's going on with my soccer program and
Where you at now, by the way? Tell us again.
Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as that's concerned, I'll keep doing that. And if they have an issue with how I perceive a rivalry, at the end of the day, I might be writing for the paper right now and doing the games, but I'm just a fan, and I just
You're a fan at heart.
yeah, and that's that. I'm just gonna be a fan of my team, and if you don't like it, it's too bad.
And we're a fan of the Tigers. In full holiday spirit here on Tigers Talk with Chirco & Co. Reverting our attention now to the Tigers because that's the name of the podcast, as I said. And I want to bring up something that was tweeted at me by Doc last night from 97.1, The Ticket, and its Twitter feed, talking about teams calling the Tigers on the availability of Nick Castellanos. There's a report out there right now circulating. I think it's kind of crappy and, full of crap, I'll say that, the trade rumor, because I don't see the Tigers dealing him right now. Unless they get a really good upgrade in left field or for the starting rotation, I don't think they're dealing Castellanos at all right now. Carrick?
Who would play third base?
Well, that's the thing. They don't really have. Aviles would have to play. Andrew Romine, not good solutions right now
I
in-house.
think Andrew Romine would not be that bad if you gave him a full
He's
season.
not a full-time starter. He's good as a platoon,
He's
as a
a good
utility guy.
platoon and
Very good utility
defensive,
guy
yeah.
last year. Could get it done with the glove, and he hit actually last year too, down.
Yeah, he did last year, but like you mentioned, he's a platoon guy. He's a guy with very good glove out there where you can put him anywhere in the infield. And he even played first base last year. He saw some games there where he started at first. Yeah, that's a little tricky there because
Who do you replace Castellanos with?
Replace him with, unless you're thinking moving Miggy back to third.
Which they're not at this point, I think. Carrick, who would you would play Romine at third then if they dealt Castellanos?
Sure.
So do you think, with that being said, you like Romine enough to where you would deal Castellanos in? Are you saying that too, Carrick?
Well, it depends what I'm getting. I mean,
So what would you want then? Tell us.
Well, I would want a starting pitcher or two really good relievers. I don't.
They wouldn't do it for relief pitching. They have enough relief pitching now. Their relief pitching might actually be a strength for once. I'm saying I'll go that far here.
What
today.
if you could get Eric Flaherty, Craig Kimbrell type pitcher?
Well, Kimbrell, but they wouldn't do it for Kimbrell even. If you name me a Roldis Chapman, they would do it.
I wouldn't take Aroldis Chapman.
And we can talk
You
about
gotta
that trade
remember-
now too in a second, Tom.
You
Your
got to
point
remember,
first.
He's being investigated for beating his wife. I don't.
Domestic abuse is not a good issue.
In three
Well,
states,
he's still innocent
in
until proven
three different
guilty.
states,
We can't.
they wouldn't.
He's not guilty yet,
We
right?
don't
We
want
know
to.
that
We don't
now.
want to delve into.
But I
the-
don't want a player
the
with
veracity of
with
yeah.
shade thrown anywhere near him. I don't want any of that. If there's rumors you were doing drugs, if there's rumors that you drink too much, I don't want him on my team. I don't have time.
But Dominic, now let me ask you: how about trading for Chapman? If the Reds called you up, they dealt him to the Yankees. We'll talk about that in a second for a package of prospects. But if the Tigers were called up and said, and were told that, hey, I want Castellanos for Aroldis Chapman, would you have done that? Or Castellanos and a few other guys for Chapman. Would you have done that if you were Al Avila?
Yeah, and you look at the haul they got back with the Yankees. They gave him rookie Davis, the best prospect they gave him, who was not even in the top 50 for Reds prospect for Yankees prospects. Rookie Davis, he had like a 3 ERA last year.
So they gave him 4 bad prospects.
So they
Middle
gave
tier guys,
middle
or low
tier
tier,
guys,
right?
low tier.
Because they didn't have to get rid of
So like the
Gary
Kyle
Sanchez,
Lobsteins.
of Aaron Judge. They didn't have to get rid of either of those guys, and those are top prospects for the Yankees.
Well, then what does that tell you about how they perceive Aroldis Chapman if they're only giving up 4?
I think they wanted to get rid of him too. I think you're right with that. Now they could have gotten probably still something a little bit better, but probably not much better because of the
what does
domestic
that-
abuse
what does that tell you?
allegations.
I mean, what is that?
He's bad for the clubhouse, and if a team like that didn't want him.
Chapman would have gotten traded at the trade deadline, you would have seen guys like the Tigers got in return for the guys they got. You would have seen guys like Matt Boyd, Michael Fulmer.
Definitely Fulmer, yeah. Guys like that, definitely.
But you don't see it now. That's a red flag to me. But if he does, everything clears out, he does play, the Yankees have a very, very scary bullpen with a lot of heat.
Good segue into this next topic, Aroldis Chapman being dealt to the Yankees. Dominic, your thoughts on that deal and how it looks now for their bullpen, and looks like it's going to be stacked, as Karic said.
Yeah, this is going to be they're going to have a true 6-inning game each and every day out there. As long as a starter goes 6 innings, this is going to be the most formidable bullpen I've seen in a while, maybe ever, depending on how good they perform with Miller, Betances, and Chapman now. Also, now we have the Yankees were getting backlash for trading Justin Wilson, but now we see why they traded Wilson at this point.
Because they upgraded over Justin Wilson. Yeah, he's nothing compared to Chapman. Yeah. But nobody is. He's the best relief pitcher in the game today, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's leader in saves. Guys, middle relief guys, Adam Warren now, who he had to set up games and be had to pitch a little bit more deep into the bullpen, but now you can move him back to the middle of the bullpen as a long relief guy. They still have to hit the Yankees, but
everybody has to hit, Dom. But no, I know what you're saying, because right now their offense is aging and not looking very good. But if they spent the money, they would be a scary team that could be a dynasty, because they have the youth now coming up through their farm system, the stacked bullpen, and if they upgraded the hitting through free agency in the future, and their starting rotation, which still needs some upgrades as well at the top, they would be a scary team to watch out for that could be a dynasty one day. And really, it's about having the money and the youth. As the Dodgers are trying to build, as the Yankees are trying to build, because the Royals, you know what, for all intents and purposes, as good as they were last year winning the World Series and the year before making it to the World Series and losing, they're not going to be a dynasty because they can't afford to keep players. They can't afford to pay for players.
The youth, you got Gregorius, Didi Gregorius, Greg Bird, Luis Severino, Aaron Judge now coming up.
Who I wanted for the Tigers. Remember that when I proposed that trade? It wasn't going to happen. Anyways.
Yeah, so that the young nucleus is there, and now Aaron Hicks, center fielder, can play all around the outfield. Good arm. Twins gave up on him. Hopefully see something out of Buxton this year. But yeah, it's a younger team. They're hoping they're going to get more production out of the younger core going forward, so they don't have to rely on the big aging stars like A-Rod and Teixeira.
So really quick before we end today's podcast, actually 2 things. But first, talking about the Yankees, I brought up the Royals, Dodgers. These good elite teams kind of in baseball right now. But who's at the top right now in baseball? Is it still the Royals? Karic, what do you think? I don't think so.
No, they had to get rid of a few of those guys. Baseball's it's really going to be an open book this year. The AL East looks like it's going to be like the AL East of old, that, with having the Yankees, possibly Boston back on top, some of their young guys coming up. They went and got Kimbrel, went and got David Price. Toronto's a shell of what they were last year, but they still got some good players, and
they can hit.
Yep. And they play in a little ballpark, so that helps. And then the Orioles weren't that bad. I mean, they're probably not going to the playoffs, but they'll be decent. AL Central, the White Sox look like they're going to be just as good as they were, back 2008, 2009.
Dom likes that news.
The Tigers look like they'll be better this year. We'll
bet
see.
They'll be back.
Hopefully.
You bet your sweet behind they'll be back.
Well, I hope so. Because I really didn't like not following the Tigers for 3 months because they traded away all their good players. The Royals, I think, will still be real good, and the Twins are going to be on the up and up. So those two divisions look good.
Should be a very good American League. A lot of parity, right?
I think there's going to be so much parity. So I think out of the NL West, the Giants will be really good. So will the Dodgers, and we'll see how the rest of the teams fall in. Cardinals are always great.
Dominic?
I got
who's the best of the best? Karic named off a few teams. Really didn't give us an answer.
No, I'm really not
But,
sure.
it's hard to do so right now.
Yeah, it's too early to tell. But, in the American League East, you probably have to put the Red Sox.
Are they number 1 right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Because the Yankees, we're there. Blue Jays, I know they lost Price, so the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I think right now they're number 1. They have the ace who pitched very well in the American League East last year, David Price, who struggled against the Yankees prior, had some good outings last year against them. And then we got to look at some bounce-back candidates of the rotation. Rick Porcello, he's a better pitcher than what he showed what he displayed in last year's campaign. American League Central, you can go anywhere from Tigers, White Sox, all the way down to the Twins.
Well, I know who you want at the top. But right now, they're definitely
the
coming
Twins,
up. They're on the up and up, the White Sox.
We could see some sophomore slumps for the Twins, too. You got Miguel Sano, Eddie Rosario.
Or it could be the opposite, right? They could be on the up
Buxton.
and up.
Now, they had very good years last. Buxton didn't, but Sano had a very good rookie campaign. Second year came around. We saw Jose Abreu struggle. His numbers dipped a little bit for as good as he was rookie year. So we could see a dip there. And then the other divisions around the major leagues. In the National League, you have the D-backs and the Giants now might be the top two teams in that division. The Dodgers really being inactive so far this winter.
You're right. And right now, first place in the AL Central. If the season started today, who would you say is the best team? Hard to say. It's a deep division now.
I would say just because of there's still question marks. I think the White Sox are going to sign an outfielder, and they're going to get another right-handed starting pitcher. I'm going to say the White Sox.
I knew that was coming. But you know what? They're good. They're on the up and up. Karic used that term. Now I'm using it constantly here. But there's a lot of teams in the AL Central who are on the up and up. Our Tigers, I think, are as well. I think they are. If they had a left fielder, they'd be especially on the up and up.
Indians
and
too,
be at the top maybe.
If the Indians keep Salazar, Carrasco, still got Bauer and Cody Anderson there rounding out the starting five.
Deep rotation
That's a
of
good
young
rotation
arms.
of young arms.
It is. And you brought up the Twinkies. They're hitters. They got to get some pitching. If they pitch, though, they'll be good too in the Central.
And they have, the Indians have a good lineup of all-stars, Jason Kipnis and Michael Brantley.
And now Brantley being out is huge, but they added Napoli, which I know people like.
Guys that are key cogs in the lineup. Yeah. But Brantley's not going to be, he's going to play, so.
I see a big fella, as Rod Allen would say, right? Something like that. Anyways, really quick, before we now officially end it, your holiday wish for the Tigers. Now, Dominic, you're not a fan, so you really don't have a holiday wish. Your holiday wish is what, realistically? Tell the truth. For the Tigers to finish where?
That they don't sign an outfielder.
Because if they sign, I'm telling you, Dom knows it. If they sign that outfielder, they might be scary good. Maybe I'm a little bit far-fetched for saying that because I love the Tigers. They won't be scary good. Anyways, Karic, your holiday wish now for the Tigers.
Jonas Cespedes. That's my holiday wish.
And Doc, you're not on right now, but you're shaking your head with Cespedes. I think you agree with that. I like Cespedes. I like Alex Gordon. I think Gordon on the short term is better value than Cespedes. And with that, Merry Christmas once again. Happy New Year to everyone as well. Have a great 2016. We'll be back in 2016, which is next week, for us here on Tigers Talk with Chirco Company. Have a great day. God bless, and talk to you then. Goodbye.